Followed by the approval of the agenda. 2.1, changes to the agenda and approval. We did have some changes to the agenda. I'll go ahead and read those off real quick. So item 2.1 was the visitors agenda. We added item 4.2 for the workshop only, Paul Lux, Okaloosa County Supervisor of Elections, 2020 election rules pertaining or placing a referendum on the ballot at the request of Ms. Savanchek. And with that, I'm seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Destin, a second by Dr. White. Any discussion? If none, let's vote. And the motion carries 5-0. Okay, at this time, we're going to move down to recognitions. Item 3.1, recognition of Laura Steele, kindergarten math and science teacher, Wright Elementary School, recipient of the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching, presented by the superintendent. Mr. Chambers?
Thank you, sir. Good evening. So first of all, this is exciting to come before you tonight. So Miss Steele, I've had the pleasure to be in her classroom a number of times throughout the years, and you talk about an absolutely fantastic and phenomenal teacher. And I think Miss Steele is a great representation of the caliber of teachers and staff that we have here in Okaloosa County. But when you look at what she does in math and what she does in science, and the fact that she was awarded from Washington, D.C., a presidential award, and the fact that she was able to go there, be in Washington, D.C., to be recognized, I think is an outstanding accomplishment. And if you would allow me, I'd like Ms. Steele to come forward. And I know Ms. Steele is very excited. I told her she had about a 10-minute speech that she was going to deliver, and she said that she was all over it. But Ms. Steele, we are very much proud of you, the work that you do. You know, we've been in your classroom a number of times, and what she does with these kids, like I said, is absolutely fantastic. And I know that you had an absolutely amazing experience in D.C.
Yes, I did.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
And we do have a plaque, and it does say, on behalf of Superintendent Marcus Chambers and members of our school board, we extend the warmest congratulations and highest esteem to Laura Steele, the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. And that's about as high as you can get. So congratulations.
Thank you. I just am so grateful. I'm honored to be here and grateful to God for the blessings that He's given me, and just the opportunity to be a teacher in the Okaloosa County school system. I'm honored. It's my 24th year of teaching, and I have to say that I have been involved with a program called Cognitively Guided Instruction, and if you don't know about it, I would highly recommend that you come see it. The opportunity that it gives our students, every single student, you know Wright Elementary School, and we have such an amazing population at Wright Elementary School, and each and every child is given access and accessibility to the finest math opportunities. It does make me very emotional because every child, from the non-English speaker to the highest performer, is given this amazing opportunity to excel in mathematics. And I do thank you for inviting this program to our county. Thank you for letting us have this program, because you did have to allow it into the county, and it's phenomenal. And so I think it is the cognitively guided instruction lesson that was deemed appropriate for this award. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Before we go any further, Dr. Choice, if you come up really quickly, please. Dr. Choice is the principal of Wright Elementary School, and I think May has a few words as well.
Well, I just want to say that Flora Steele is a teacher's teacher. If I had to define teaching, she would come under that definition. She's very selfless, and she also reaches out to her colleagues and shares her expertise. And we are extremely proud that she is at Wright Elementary and will remain at Wright Elementary. And I would like our Wright family to just stand and be recognized, please. She shared that when she was in D.C., the proudest moment for her was when they displayed Wright Elementary. So we love her, we thank her, and we're very proud of you.
Would you like your
Yes.
family to come forward? My tears. Just a 2-minute one.
Can't
2
wait.
minutes. One, two, three. One, two, three. Thank you. Congratulations. One more? One more. All right.
Congratulations, Ms. Steele. Okay, so now we're going to move on to item 3.2, and that's the recognition of first place winners in the Art in the Capitol competition presented by Mr. Chambers.
All right, so this is another exciting time and going to give out some recognition in the area of art. This is an area that I'd never had any ability in whatsoever, so this is kind of exciting. And this is the Art in the Capitol Competition Award, and it's a statewide visual arts competition that requires each school district to annually hold an art competition for students in grades 6 through 8. And I'm going to share who the winners were. So first of all, we have Miss Maida Navita. We have Maida and Navita and Sadiq from the Okaloosa STEM Academy, first place in the painting category. If she come forward. And your parents are here as well, if they come forward. And we have Mr. Gee, and where is Miss Martin? Y'all come forward as well. Let me show your art. Do you have it? It's right here.
Wow.
You want to show that?
What's that?
It's a first place ribbon.
Can I see it?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
You are just fine. There you go. So here
What's
you go.
that?
Shh. Come on over here.
Okay.
Come on, sir. Come on here. Touch her spot.
Ready?
All right. Congratulations. All right, we have another winner. We have Danielle Jones from Bruner Middle School, first place digital art category. And we have Assistant Principal Rosia Khan, who is here to accept on her behalf.
I worked so hard for this.
You show the,
Oh,
the
look
art.
what I did. We are very, very proud of Danielle. She's very talented. Thank you.
There you go. Want to hold that? I think we're probably good there.
We don't need it.
I think that's kind of like, all right. And then we also have an overall winner. and that is Nyla Perriman from Ruckle Middle School, first place, best in show, in the drawing category. And Nyla Perriman's overall win and entry will be on display in the Florida Capitol during the legislative session from January 14th through March 13th, 2020. And we have Mr. Paul Whitten and Ms. Picarosi here as well. So if you'd come forward.
Oh, yeah. You want to say something?
I'm just thankful for this opportunity because it's such a great opportunity for the students and it really fosters their love of art and shows them that it is important. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to just add to that. First of all, let me say, on behalf of Nyla, I just talked to Nyla this afternoon. When Ms. Picarosi and I were talking to her last week, her parents and her were going to come tonight to accept, but she plays on our basketball team as well, and they were playing prior. So at the end of the day, I don't think Coach a big rival. So I went by the game, and the good news is she was rebounding, blocking out, and scoring points against that. So what an eclectic girl. She's an AV honor roll student. She's such a nice young lady. She's obviously talented in art, and she plays basketball for Ruckle. So she wanted me to pass along to all of you her deep appreciation of being honored tonight like this and wishes that she could be here. I told her that we're going to recognize, at our next assembly, we're going to recognize her and represent this award in front of the student body. I would like to add and thank the board and Mr. Chambers for supporting the arts. You know, an Okaloosa County education would be incomplete without what we do with our band, our courses, and our art classes, and teachers like Ms. Picarosi. So I commend all of y'all for supporting that and putting well-spent money to further these kids with something that they'll have the rest of their lives. So thank you.
All right, so we're going to move down to section 4 and visitors and board members. This is an action item that we're getting ready to, that I'm getting ready to announce, and that's item 4.1, proclamation of Educational Support Professionals Day, Professionals Day, presented by Mr. Chambers. So I need a motion on that
So moved.
and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, or all those in support? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Mr. Chambers.
All right. So this is a very special moment, and I do want to just turn my back from you all for a second. And this is a proclamation to our ed support folks. And we do have a couple principals in the room as well. We have administrators, we have teachers in the room, and parents. And I do want to say, and I'm going to read this proclamation, but I do want to say, I think each of you probably know there's not a day that goes by that we could not do what we do in the Okaloosa County school system without our ed support folks. I'll say just for myself personally, you know, the people who have worked for me on the ed support side, that they help keep me straight. And that is sometimes that can be a task. But from our bus drivers, the very first individuals who pick students up to drop them off at the end of the day, to our secretaries, to our bookkeepers, to our aides, and the amazing maintenance folks. So it's just amazing the caliber of people that we have in this school district. And when I talk about educators, so I don't just say teachers, we talk about educators. And our ed support staff, you all are educators. And one of the things that we've talked about this year is we have a little motto of everyone's important and no one's important. And I like to say that when this year's seniors walk across the stage, there are people who made a difference in their life. And there are teachers who made a difference in their life, and there's a whole number of ed support individuals who made a difference in the lives of the kids who are going to walk across the stage. And without the impact that you all made in their lives, there are some who wouldn't be there. So I do want to thank you, on behalf of our school board, on behalf of our principals and teachers, for the work that you all do. It is something that is extremely, extremely appreciated. So we thank you, but we have a few more words to go because I'm going to read this proclamation, and if you'd also come up, Mr. Patrick. And before I do this, is there anything that you all would like to say in terms of our ed support?
I'll just say I learned early that you make best friends with the secretaries and the custodians because they really do float the boat, so to speak. They can make your day, and they absolutely make things go smoothly for our students and for our teachers every day. So we really couldn't do the job to the level of excellence that we do without our ed support people.
And I'd like to say that I'm very proud to have been chosen by the board to be on the committee that chooses the ed support Employees of the Year, and I always enjoy that, getting to see what these individuals do. As a former teacher, I'm aware of a lot of what they do, but when you sit and get to individually talk with them, it's phenomenal, and it's very exciting. And again, you're absolutely right. We could not open up every day without these individuals taking good care of us. So thank you.
And I'd echo that there, the unsung heroes of the system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big hug day. There's 1,307 of us at the last payroll, so there's a bunch of hugs you can give out that day.
There we go. We'll start down and get through them all. So, hey. So here we go. So here's the proclamation. Whereas public schools are the backbone of our democracy, providing young people with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality, and whereas education support professionals are an integral part of the education process, and whereas education support professionals work tirelessly to serve our children and communities with care and professionalism, and whereas on a daily basis, our education support professionals take great pride in using their numerous skills, which are rooted in human relations, communications, verbal presentations, technical knowledge, use of resources, and positive personality traits, and whereas the educational support professionals in our school district are to be commended for the professional manner in which they perform their duties. They put forth effort, individually and collectively, to assure that our educational system will continue to have prosperity and success. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida, does hereby recognize and proclaim November 20th, 2019 as National Education Support Professionals Day. Congratulations to each and every one of you.
There's a few here with me tonight. I think we've got almost every classification represented here. Get out your white.
In the front.
All right, everybody, here we go. One, two. 1, 2, 3. One blink. 1, 2, 3.
And as customary, we're going to recess for a few minutes and let those who have been recognized tonight have a chance to sneak out and go spend some time with your loved ones. And we appreciate everybody being here tonight. We're recessed for a couple of minutes. And we're going to move down to item 6, and that's public comment. And we have 3 blue cards tonight, so we're going to start with the order I received them. And if you would, please, when you come to the podium, please state your name and your address for the record. And just so everybody knows, Mr. McInnes is keeping time tonight, and at 15 seconds, he will let you know when your time is about to expire. So with that, Diana Gilbert. And real quick.
Diana Gilbert, Niceville, Florida, 2054 Kildare Circle, if you need that. All right, I am here again to state my support for the continuation of electing our school superintendent. The opportunity of meeting the candidates and personally asking questions is very important to me. If this referendum is approved, then local control will be taken away from county voters. And I struggle with the loss of this local control that will go to 3 to 5 people. I continue to be concerned with the cost. The salary for an elected superintendent does not create new extra cost. Yet an appointed superintendent usually negotiates a higher salary and a separation severance package and buyout clause. There are hiring consulting firms, the cost with that, creating job descriptions, advertising, conducting an applicant search, etc. So there are a lot of different costs with that. I have mentioned my concerns of having a school superintendent that does not represent our values in Okaloosa County. I have given you an abundance of examples, and the reason I give you those examples is that I don't think the school board members or the public know what's going on in so many schools throughout the United States, and I have contacts with where I find out that information. So that's the reason I've given that. So it's been happening in Florida, Texas, Georgia, Colorado, Maine, California, all kinds of states throughout the United States, all the examples I've been giving you. This indoctrination is harming and confusing our precious children. Children should not be coming home from school confused about their gender. Girls on athletic teams should not be competing with boys who identify as girls. And girls should not be sharing their restrooms and locker rooms with biological boys and vice versa. That's just a few of the many that I've already talked to you about. A survey by Yes for Okaloosa Schools was quoted as a reason for the referendum. I heard that of 300 people, the majority want a referendum, and they want it in March. We have about 135,000 people in Okaloosa. 300 is hardly a good sampling and shouldn't even be considered. In fact, if the numbers are correct, if I'm remembering them correct, I kind of view that as being very deceitful, saying 2/3 of this survey supports this when it's only 300 people out of 135,000. Yes for Okaloosa Schools says appointing a school superintendent takes the politics out. I mentioned at the last meeting that I see all kinds of politics with school board members and the superintendent. School board members would be able to control the superintendent and even fire him or her without good cause. And school board members might want to be the appointed superintendent, and I'm not for sure how that comes out. But there will always be politics involved, no matter how we go, appointed or elected. Escambia County rejected this referendum 5 to 6 times. However, the last time it was titled Yes for Escambia Schools, and it won. And it looks like Yes for Okaloosa Schools got its name from Escambia. It implies that if you vote against Yes for Okaloosa Schools, then you aren't for Okaloosa Schools, and that's concerning to me. I believe that the infrastructure for Okaloosa Schools is more important, and I therefore don't believe this referendum should even be on the ballot. Of consideration should also be that candidates are also already running for school superintendent, and that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Okay. Next, the blue card is Mr. Patrick Ryan. Mr. Ryan, if you would come forward, please.
Good evening, Patrick Ryan, 252 Old Post Road in Niceville. Okay. Good evening. I watched the video of Thursday's appearance by Supervisor of Elections Paul Lux, and I just wanted to make 2 brief points. First, Yes for Okaloosa Schools did previously offer to pay expenses for a superintendent selection referendum if we're held in March. Since the deadline for getting this on the March ballot has effectively passed, I wanted to let the board know that we understand the fiscal situation that the district is in and will make the same commitment for an August or November superintendent selection referendum. Second, and this was not discussed with Mr. Lux on Thursday, but in an email he sent me on November 20th, 2018, Mr. Lux forwarded information from the Florida Division of Elections, which said a superintendent selection referendum should specifically state when a proposed change from elected to appointed would occur. I'll reiterate again that citizens of Okaloosa are due a robust discussion on the different options so that they can decide. The entire county is watching what's going on here. So I urge one of you to place this item on the agenda for the next board meeting and utilize the method outlined in the Florida Constitution to let the voters of Okaloosa decide instead of doing it for them. Last, since it was brought up about our survey, 305 respondents out of Okaloosa County, demographically aligned, created a margin of error of 5%. So if you want to go back and look at polling information, you will find 5% is a pretty good margin of error. If somebody wants to get some more specifics on that, I'll be happy to contact our pollster and provide them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Okay. Ms. Sherry Cox.
Sherry Cox. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Republican Party of Okaloosa County. I live at 407 Spring Lane, Destin, Florida. Just wanted to speak to really 2 points on the issue of election versus appointment of the superintendent of schools. And the first one is financial. From a just strictly a dollars and cents standpoint, this is a very expensive proposition that frankly at this point we have no business even discussing. I mean, we are so far behind on money to fix these schools at this point that I can't even believe it's a conversation that we're entertaining. And the second piece of that is this, that I have grown up here. I mean, I was a Kenwood Pryor Choctaw kid. My kids have gone to public and private schools at their own bidding. I mean, frankly, because our schools are so coveted that they have chosen to exit their beloved Christian schools to go to our public schools. And I've endorsed that as well. I can't express to you how appreciative I am of the fact that I am standing here before several members of the board who were either former principals or former teachers within this school district who are now our elected officials, and how much that means to your electorate. I say that as the mother of a child who is Max Bruner's grandchild. Max Bruner did amazing things for this county as an elected official. It is soul crushing to me to think that we have changed our minds. Some of us on the board here were put in our positions, original positions, by that very man. He built stadiums here. He built schools here. Some of the ones that you guys have called home. It is soul crushing to me that man, if standing here today, would have to stand in a room full of people who are questioning whether or not Okaloosa's electorate still has your trust in providing a superintendent that is capable, that is qualified, and has our values as parents, as students, as teachers, as administrators, and frankly, as yourselves. I think that those choices have been made very well over the years. I could give countless examples of the superintendents who have done a very fine job in this county as elected officials. I think that both of the candidates are probably very well qualified, and I think, frankly, that what makes them most qualified is that they have lived here. They know here. They know what works here in Okaloosa County. They are from here. They are qualified here. They are respected here. And I think our voters deserve that chance going forward. And that is all.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Okay, we're going to move on down to item 7. That's committee and staff reports. That was workshop only. And now we're down to section 8, consent agenda. 8.1 is approval of the consent agenda. I need a motion.
I'll move.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? If none, let's vote. And the consent agenda passes 5-0. Let's move down to Section 9, and that would be Superintendent's Human Resource recommendations. The first two are just informational, so we'll go on down. We'll do 9.1, employees on administrative leave, presented by Dr. Hale, and then item 9.2 is deferred retirement option program, the DROP, again presented by Dr. Lee Hale. So now we're moving down to item 9.3, and the rest are action items. So 9.3 is request to double fill the principal position at Okaloosa Technical College Choice, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, and Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
Can I just make a comment before we vote?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to be sure everybody knows that Jerry Sansone has done such a fine job, and when we lose him, I just want to be able to say to him how much we've appreciated his taking care of that school, putting innovative practices into place, and I've known him throughout his whole career as a man that stood for students. And all the decisions that he made, he took a stand for in the best interest of students and of that particular school, and I just appreciate him for that.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Okay, so we need a motion.
I'll move.
Okay, Dr. Kelly makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Evancheck. Any other discussion? If none, let's vote. Motion carries 5-0. 9.4, department staffing restructure, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. I need a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Ms. Evancheck,
I'll second.
and second by Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? If none, let's vote. Motion carries 5-0. 9.5, personnel recommendations, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. We need a motion on that.
I'll move we approve.
Okay, Mr. Destin,
I'll second it.
second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Motion carries 5-0. 9.6, employee transfers, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Need
I'll
a,
move we approve 9.6.
Mr. Destin makes a motion.
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? If none, let's vote. And the motion carries 5-0. 9.7, employment separations, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. We need a motion for that.
I'll move.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Destin. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. And 9.7 passes 5-0. 9.8, request to authorize the district to consider the application of former employee Holly Edson for the position of bus driver, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
I move.
Okay, we got a motion by Ms. Evancheck.
I'll second.
Second.
I just want to make one comment. The letter of recommendations that were sent in on Ms. Edson's behalf were quite inspiring.
Yes.
So I think approval would be the proper course.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Destin, and you did second that. Any other discussion? If none, let's vote. And the motion carries 5-0. 9.9, reinstatement, reimbursement of sick leave due to line of duty illness, injury, medical examination, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. 5-0. We'll move down to item 9.10, and that's leave without pay, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
I'll move that we approve 9.10.
Thank you, Mr. Destin makes a motion.
I'll second.
Second by Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. And motion carries 5-0. Discussion agenda, any items moved from the consent agenda. We didn't have any. So we'll move down to 11, construction program owners representatives business. 11.1, program status report by the board's representative to the construction program. And Mr. Destin, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. We did have our meeting this morning and had quite a number of items on board. We are working diligently toward repairing 2 roofs at Niceville. We have to get a estimate on the second one, but we hope that's going to be coming soon. We are working on 2 kitchens, one at Pryor, one at Baker. Both of those are under the system moving forward. We went over a number of the security improvements that have been done and that are underway, and some that we're going to go into for our schools, and that was quite informative. And if you would like to speak to Dr. Smith or some of the other folks, that information needs to be kept under the hat, but they're doing a very good job and have moved forward quite a lot. We also looked at some improvements to Longwood, I believe, that are going to go a long way toward enhancing our opportunity at that school. And then we just talked about, I think we're going to have a discussion workshop sometime very soon about trying to set up priorities for going forward with the needs of the district, in the short term and long term. So that's coming down the pike. But we had a very productive meeting this morning. And as you can see, we have a couple of task orders that we're going to go forward with. And I want to thank the staff, Dr. Smith and Steve Horton and the rest of the gang who work very hard at this all day, every day, just about.
Thank you, Mr. Destin. Okay, we'll move down to item 11.2, TPM program number 6, task order number 6, pre-GMP Pryor Middle School kitchen renovation, presented by Dr. Bill Smith, Program Director, Facilities Planning, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. This isn't an action item, is it?
Yes, and I'll move.
Okay.
That we approve, and we've been lucky enough to bring in a kitchen consultant who's going to work on designs to try to make the flow work better and maybe make some suggestions about some different equipment we could use that will help the kitchen operate faster and smoother and get the students in and out, and that would be something that I'd be real thrilled to see.
I'll second.
Okay, and second by Dr. White. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. And the motion carries 5-0. Item 11.3, TPM program number 6, task order number 7, pre-GMP Longwood Elementary corridor construction and site fencing, presented by Dr. Bill Smith, Program Director, Facilities and Planning, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
I will recommend 11.3 for passage, and this is another one that's going to enhance the site and the security at a school, and something we are looking forward to.
Mr. Destin makes the motion to approve. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dr. White. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. And that item passes 5-0. So let's move down to section 12, information technology seat management contract. Item 12.1, CACI task order number 2-148, new security cameras at Longwood Elementary School, presented by Dustin Keith, Specialist Seat Management, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. And this is an action item.
I'll move we approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Destin, second by Dr. Kelly. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.2, CACI task order number 2-151, installation of 6-strand fiber at Best Chance, presented by Dustin Keith, Specialist Seat Management, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval.
I'll move it.
And Dr. Kelly makes a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Ivanchek. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. And the motion carries 5-0. So now we'll move down to item 13. Mr. McInnes, any business?
Just one item, Mr. Chairman. At your October 28th school board meeting, the board approved a request for the course adoption of personal financial literacy honors at all of your high schools. There was a Scrivener's error in the course number, and it's requested tonight that you authorize correction of that Scrivener's error so that it will reflect course number 2102374 for for the course number for personal financial literacy honors.
Need a motion to that
Yes,
effect? So moved.
Okay, Mr. Destin makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Vancheck. Any other discussion to that? Hearing none, let's vote. And that carries 5 to 0.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Chambers, your business, sir.
All right, just a few things. So, for those who weren't tuning in on Thursday, I do want to just reiterate, we have Ms. Sharon Bartless-Wheelis, who was named Florida Association of School Psychologists. So she was the School Psychologist of the Year for the state of Florida. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Those of you who know her, she's a hard worker and someone who gives her all each and every day. So someone from Okaloosa County being the School Psychologist of the Year for the state, I think that's fantastic. Also, I do want to take a moment to thank Ms. Gates for the work that she's doing with Okaloosa Schools Foundation. We just finished $33,000 worth of mini grants, and that takes raising money, that takes people coming together to be able to do so. Ms. Vancheck actually sat on the committee to help choose all the different teachers who are going to receive these awards, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So $33,000 worth of mini grants to our teachers. I appreciate that effort. Also, I do want to mention so safety measures. So that was kind of brought up. You know, as you know, I do want to thank the board for expediting safety measures. As you know, we had a plan A and we had a plan B, and we actually have a plan 1A now. Plan 1A and 1B in terms of expediting what we're doing for safety. And of course, we don't go into all the measures that we do, but as you know, as you go out throughout the county right now, you see things that are changing in schools. And I think those things are changing for the better in terms of keeping kids safe. So that is something that I do appreciate. That couldn't happen without your support. So thank you very much there. And then I want to close with saying some of the things that you all will probably say as well. But Veterans Day, as you know, this past week, not only in our school system, but just throughout Okaloosa County, you know, what we did in terms of celebrating our veterans is something that is extremely humbling. When you go to different events and you hear Judge General Maney share his experiences, I think it's absolutely wonderful, and you see the pride that he has for this country, for this county. That was a great thing to see, but also to see a 100-year-old and a 102-year-old who served in World War II. That is fantastic. But our schools throughout Okaloosa County did a great job honoring our veterans and honoring our military. And if you were able to see all the different events and the parades that happened, it was just great to see how we honor our veterans and how we honor our military. And I know that we're all thankful for that. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. And now we'll move down to board members' announcements and requests for information, and we'll start with Mr. Destin.
Thank you, Chairman. And the only thing I will say is I want to echo Mr. Chambers' remarks about the veterans. You know, I'm always amazed at these people who are willing to put their life on the line and make the biggest sacrifice that any person can make to protect their country. So, you know, I just want to thank them, as Mr. Chambers had, and the 100-year-old I've known and is just a heck of a guy. I've got one 94-year-old that is very close to me, who's also a veteran. He went to World War II at 16. They caught him, sent him home to his mom, and he went back at 17. So that's the kind of folks that have stood by this country forever. So thanks to all of them.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Destin. Dr. White.
Yes, of course, it's the same thing for the veterans that the superintendent and Mr. Destin spoke about. I do want to again commend Mr. Destin and the superintendent and his staff for the tremendous improvements that have been made in terms of school security, all the way from the radios that we discussed at length at the workshop, and also in terms of the hardening of the facilities. And it really is quite an accomplishment, particularly when we consider the fact that we didn't get any new money to do all that. Now, of course, there were sacrifices, as we know. But I just wanted to point out again so that the public is aware. You guys have done a great job with that, and we're very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, sir? That's all. Good. Ms. Vancheck.
Okay. I'm just off guard because I thought you were going to go to Dr. Kelly, so, okay. Like the kid in class, oh, you don't think you're calling me, okay. On Veterans Day, I just want to echo, I was at Kenwood Elementary, and another one of our American heroes, Colonel Ed Hubbard, was there. And, of course, we all know what a hero he is, and he was talking to all, he did a great job of speaking, how do you speak to a crowd of kindergartners through fifth graders he talked about what is a veteran. And it was wonderful, and the kids were all gathered around him, and I thought, I hope that these children will understand what he did for our country, being a former POW. But also, you mentioned about the grants. I wanted to shout out to Antioch, who's the school that got the most number of those mini grants. They worked very hard, and I was honored to get to go today and see those teachers, and they were excited about getting that, and along as with you presented their A grade award today, which was neat. And I guess the next thing is, this is it till after Thanksgiving. As far as board meetings, this is our last one, so I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a great week off, and enjoy it. And the weather's kind of right on time for holidays, isn't it? So be safe out there and have a great Thanksgiving.
Dr. Kelly.
So I'll just echo that the phenomenal Veterans Day programs that we had across the district. And of course, I was at Eglin Elementary, where Mr. Samac and the choral program and Mrs. Reed spoke, and they did a phenomenal job as well. But I wanted to say that a couple of things. First of all, our hearts and our prayers are with the Wyndham family at the loss of Angie this week. We certainly know that she certainly did a lot for Davidson Middle School, and I had the great opportunity of filling in out there for 4 months while their principal was ill a few years back, and got to know her and the wonderful job that she did at Davidson Middle School. So our hearts are with the Wyndham family. I would like to say to Sherry, I am one of those who was hired by Max Bruner, so the legacy lives on there. Max and Mr. Sullivan, both, they were just awesome to work with and work around. And it's awesome today to be able to say that I stand in their shadows and their legacies. And finally, I'll just say I hope everyone has a happy and a safe Thanksgiving, and don't eat too much turkey.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And I just have a few things. First of all, as y'all know, we had our organizational meeting on Thursday, and I'm honored today to be sitting as the chair, but I do want to again extend my gratitude to Dr. White for his exceptional leadership over the last 3 years. And, and I appreciate already the input that he's handed off to me to help me be a better chairperson, a better school board member, and if I could, again, just echo, thank you very much for your leadership. Also, just want to recognize Cade Koutsaratis, who's a football player and a student scholar athlete at Crestview High School. He was honored as the Heisman Scholar winner for Crestview High School. And as y'all might know, Mr. Koutsaratis is going to be going to Georgia Tech on a full scholarship to play football for the Yellow Jackets. Now, being a Bulldog, I've already told him during that game, I'll have to root for Georgia. But we're really excited and proud for Cade. And he chose that school because his family there's a bunch of engineers in that family, and he's going to pursue that to better his education and get a chance to play football. Also, for those of you that were talking about history, Mr. Bruner, they're up in Crestview, one of our longtime employees, Ray Red Medley, who was a PE teacher at Northwood and Richburg Junior High. And for those of y'all that knew Coach Medley, you knew he was a diehard Ole Miss person. He went to University of Mississippi to play football and came back to Okaloosa County to teach. He passed away last week, and our prayers go out to his family. So with that being said, we're going to move on down to item 16, and that's public comment. And if there's anybody that would like to address the board, this is your time. Okay. And seeing that we have none, we'll move down to adjournment. This meeting is adjourned.